And so, knowing what our arena has meant to our city for a century, the consistent commitments we have made over these 96 years to meet our city's arena aspirations, knowing what it has meant to our community to have an arena that could track the NBA and the best concerts, understanding that our long-term relationship with Major League Professional Sports requires a timely recommitment, and knowing that opening an arena this decade will require almost immediate approval and planning, I came here today to say this to you. It is time to plan for a new arena, and 2023 is the year to make that commitment. A year ago, when I told you of the 3-year renewal, I stated that the city manager and I would begin meeting with the Thunder leadership to discuss the future. And over the course of the last year, we have done just that, many times and on a regular basis. In the leadership of our Oklahoma City Thunder, we have trusted partners as we contemplate and develop this new commitment. I want to be clear how important this has been and will continue to be. We are not sitting on opposite sides of the table. The leaders of the team, led by Clay Bennett, are longtime Oklahoma City champions, and they understand what is possible and what isn't. We understand they have to operate within the demanding structure of the global business they brought to our city, and they understand our dynamics as well. They are working shoulder to shoulder with us every day to find a path forward that secures this long-term relationship for another generation. Unlike 15 years ago, no one has to thread a needle to make this happen. We have a team that wants to be here for the long haul, and our city just has to do what great cities do. We have to invest in ourselves. I can report to you today that we are close to a jointly agreeable proposal that will construct a new downtown arena that meets the modern standards of the NBA and the concert industry. We believe we can and must present this agreement before the end of summer, with an election before the end of 2023. It is worth noting that more time has gone into this conversation than any of the previous similar conversations that occurred in 2005 and 2008. In 2005, the discussions to relocate the Hornets to Oklahoma City lasted mere weeks, and the City Council had only a few days to consider the main points of the agreement. In 2008, the City Council and the public only had 2 weeks to consider the main points of an arena upgrade package before it was sent to the voters. Those were unique circumstances. Fortunately here, we had more time and we have used it. It has already been a full year since I shared this with you, and I've heard a lot of perspectives from city council members, city leaders, and residents alike, and we've had a lot of opportunity to incorporate those perspectives into our discussions, and we still have several months for more discussion. Though an agreement remains to be finalized and much remains fluid, I can still share some important takeaways that we believe will hold true. We believe our new arena can be funded without raising tax rates above their current levels. We believe we can accomplish this vital project simply by paying the exact same sales tax rate we pay today. No tax increase will be necessary. The public funding necessary to build the new arena will be supplemented by remaining MAPS 4 dollars that are already earmarked for the downtown arena, as I mentioned last year. And for the first time in city history, these public funding commitments will be joined by a significant financial contribution from the ownership of the Oklahoma City Thunder. You've heard me speak today about the way our city's new arenas have inspired us in the past. All of us in today's process are committed to a building that inspires like never before, that raises the bar for public spaces and the user experience. The architectural ambitions of this new arena will exceed anything our residents have ever experienced. Remember the pride you felt seeing this convention center or Scissortail Park for the first time? This arena will meet that standard, and finally people will stand outside of our arena and marvel. This building will make a statement that we are truly prepared to be a top 20 city. And we are committed to using this arena to tell our city's story and the story of its people. This won't be a cookie-cutter arena. This will be uniquely ours. The same thoughtfulness and care that the Thunder models in its community work will be reflected in this building. The bar will also be raised inside the building. Obviously, the square footage will be much larger, but everything about the user experience will change. I remind you, only 2 current NBA arenas were built before their cities had an NBA team. Ours is one. This new arena will in many ways be our first NBA arena. It will be designed for basketball, with far more seats in the lower bowl, better sight lines for everyone, and unprecedented proximity all the way to the last row. In response to a successful vote and the commitment of a new arena by the people of Oklahoma City, we will secure a long-term lease with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the NBA. Longer than the initial commitment we received in 2008. Our status as a big league city will be secure for another generation. On the court, we'll get to see Shea, Giddey, Chet, Jalen, and Dort realize their full potential. But even more importantly, we'll get to see the version of our Thunder team that comes next, and the one that comes after that, and the one after that. We will secure this team for such a span of time that I can tell you today that a superstar who will play for our city in this new arena in the next lease term isn't even born yet. And yet, Sam Presti is probably already holding the draft pick to get him. With this new lease, we will secure for another generation the direct and indirect economic impacts that come from the team, the city identity, the global platform, the philanthropy, and all the other ancillary benefits that we have talked about today. And with an arena of this caliber, we'll dominate in the concert business as well. And perhaps most special of all, we will still come together as one OKC to cheer our team with the passion that unites us as a community. We will give Mike a high five as we come down the aisle. We will celebrate with our coworkers the morning after a big win. We will run to social media to see what everyone just said about that buzzer beater. Families will make memories together, kids will dream, and one day we'll hoist a trophy in Scissortail Park. More details of an arena agreement will come. I'm not keeping them from you, they're just not finalized yet. We'll need to button some things up, get feedback from our city council, and ultimately from you. As always, you'll have the final say as to whether our city's renaissance will continue. 35 years after approving the funding for Municipal Auditorium, our residents approved the funding for the Myriad. 31 years after approving the funding for the Myriad, our voters approved the funding for the Ford Center. And now, that was 30 years ago. For the last century, every 3 decades, Oklahoma City residents have made the decision to build a new arena because our aspirations and our growth and the realities of national competition have demanded it. We didn't come this far since 1927 to stop now. We have the same obligation and opportunity as our ancestors to leave this city better than we found it. I don't think for a moment that the residents of 1927, 1962, or 1993 had more vision than us. This is our generation's chance to leave our legacy on Oklahoma City's Renaissance story. And all we have to do is invest in ourselves, as we have done so many times before. We will have a final agreement and proposal for you by the end of this summer. The people in this room and many thousands more will champion this vision across our city. The mission-focused voters of this city will approve it as they have before because they believe in Oklahoma City. And before the end of this year, we will have secured our future. I told you at the beginning that we get work done at these gatherings, and I think I kept my word. This was a weighty discussion. Thank you for your engagement today, and now you're a part of this. We have a job to do in the months ahead, and let's get to it. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the honor of being your mayor, and thank you for believing in our city's future.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we're all inspired. We appreciate your passion, and I think we all recognize what we need to go do. We need to make this happen. As they said 99 years ago, for a bigger, better, brighter, and happier community. Let's go get it done. As we leave here today, please be careful and take care of yourselves and those around you. We're adjourned. Thank you.